Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a payday prep for you that includes some things that I think will be very difficult to get during the next Great Depression. And when I say during the next Great Depression, I mean it. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. You can all see with your eyes what's going on. There's going to be a lot of things that are on shortages, and there's going to be some things that are not available altogether. In addition to that, there are going to be some things that are not going to be available, and then they'll be available for a little bit, and then they'll not be available again. And I can see that happening right now. I went to Costco today because I wanted to pick up some more pain relief medication for this upcoming winter. Little Miss Alaska Prepper uses it on a regular basis because she has to. i.e., for example, like once a month or so, she needs to use some pain medication. And I want to make sure that I have enough of this stuff to where if it's not available for 6 months, that I'm going to have it. Why? Because one of the worst things that a parent can see is his or her child in pain and not be able to do anything about it. Now, I know that there are a lot of other ways that you can get pain relieving medication by foraging for them or anything like that, or things like that, for example. However, it's available right now, so I'm going to get it. And one of the other things that I forgot to tell you about when we start this new Great Depression is that you're going to end up having to substitute things for other things. Like, for example, I'll show you a great example of a substitution that I had to make today because the stuff that I was looking for just wasn't available. So I had to substitute with something else. Another example is going to be something that I'll show you that has not been available for months, and I was so excited when I found it. So let's go ahead and start this payday prep. Hopefully this gives you ideas on things that you can stock up on now before they become unavailable. It's not a matter of if they'll become unavailable. It's a matter of when they'll become unavailable. So stock up on them now while you still can. And by the way, I am coming to you from my new driveway. Let me show you the driveway going up towards the road. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That is just such a nice sight for me. I know it's just gravel and dirt, but this is going to make life a lot easier for us here during the winter especially. All right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and get to this payday prep. Now, Costco has been out of this for so long that when I went there today with the intention to just get some of the pain medication that I picked up, I found these just by happenstance. They didn't have them where they normally had them in the past. And I passed by these and I was like, wait a minute here. Look at this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. They finally got tarps back. Now, one thing I didn't notice about these tarps that they have is that they're not as big as the other ones. The other ones I think used to be like 16 feet long by 10 feet wide, where these are only 8 feet long by 10 feet wide. However, great price. These are heavy duty. It comes 3 tarps to a pack, and the pack was $18 and change. I went ahead and got me 3 packs. So I've got 2 of the real super heavy duty ones, the blue ones that Costco used to sell from last year. Then, if you all remember, they just stopped selling them for several months. I would say at least 6 months, if not more, probably more than 6 months, because I remember them not being there during Christmas time either. And they just came back. Now that they're back, I went ahead and grabbed me enough to last me for quite a while. Not sure if you all know, but tarps have 1,001 uses. And here in Alaska, aside from the big green tents that you see everywhere in Alaska, tarps is probably the second thing that you see the most of. Now, if you're wondering if I picked up that lumber and that cement over at Costco, no, they don't sell lumber or cement there. That's actually an order that I had to place through Home Depot, actually. And I went and did the curbside delivery deal because some of that is going to be for the chicken coop and some of that is going to be for a project that I have to work on. We had a very minor mishap during the construction of this driveway. Let me show you what it is before we get to our next item. So this here is my rear deck, and under the rear deck is where I keep my fuel tanks that I use to pump into my house tank for my winter heating oil. And when Chief was removing a stump that was somewhere around here, because he took down several trees, and one of the trees was right here where I'm pointing at. When he was removing one of the stumps, that stump had very far-reaching roots. And check this out. This is one of the pillars that's holding up that deck. And as you can see, it needs to be fixed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a bottle jack on the ground, supporting it with a 4x4. That way I can go ahead and take the weight off of here. Right now it's still very sturdy, but we definitely don't want to leave it like that. Once I support the weight off of this part right here, I'm going to go ahead and dig under and around it. I'm going to place some blocks in there and finish it off with some concrete, and then we'll go ahead and fix that and then go to this other one. We have another one here which is not as bad but still needs to be corrected. So that's what that concrete is for. I'm sure everything will turn out okay. It hasn't moved not even a quarter of an inch even after that. So it's pretty sturdy right now. I feel pretty safe working on it. So the other item that I went to Costco for was children's Motrin. And the reason we like to get the children's Motrin, the one that you can drink, is because Little Miss Alaska Prepper does not like to drink pills. And I can understand that. In addition to that, this is very handy. If, for example, you get a cold or a sore throat and you want to get some pain relief in you, in the liquid form, it's a lot easier to bring down, especially if you have a really sore throat, than it would be if you had to take a pill. I wanted to pick up at least 3 to 6 of these so that it can last me at least the next year, if not more. And this is the only one that they had. So I ended up picking up a few of these right here. These Tylenol, which is still a pain reliever, not the same as the Motrin, and I don't think it's as effective as the Motrin, but it's the only other one that they had. So this is going to happen more and more, ladies and gentlemen, where you go to get something that you normally get, it ends up not being there, and they don't know when it's going to come back in stock, and you end up having to substitute that item that you normally get with something else. That's why I'm saying, get those things that you know that you're going to need now, and get as much as you can bear to get as far as room and as far as finances go. That way you know that you'll have them when you need them. Now, I wasn't planning on getting any of these, but these were a good deal. They were like $16 for 3 bottles. I ended up getting 3 packs. Why is that? Because I'm always championing the Thermacell. Mosquito, yes, it's a mosquito repellent, you could say, the Thermacell is. But what if Thermacell pads become unavailable? Right, ladies and gentlemen? This right here will last pretty much indefinite, as long as you store it in a decent location. I wouldn't store this outside where it would freeze and thaw. So I'm going to store this in a cool, dry place, the sun away from it, temperature control room. I believe this will last pretty much forever. If there ever comes a time where my Thermacell pads become unavailable, or I would rather use something like this instead of using fuel to power my Thermacell, I would go ahead and use something like this. This is one of the things that I ordered from Home Depot in order to do this home repair. Have you thought about doing home repair? Have you thought about having some miscellaneous items that maybe you don't need right now, but that you could need in the future? I got this bottle jack because it's one of the things that I'm going to use in order to hold up that structure or help to hold it up while I'm working on it to make it safe. Things like this, ladies and gentlemen, tools, screws, nails, hammers, screwdrivers, bits, drills, all of those things are things that you're more than likely going to need in the future. But are you sure that they're going to be available? Now, what's the best case scenario? The best case scenario is that we get out of this rut, that the government allows us to be free and lets us live peaceful lives. That's the best case scenario, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't go into a depression or even a recession. Well, I mean, according to Janet Yellen, we're not going into a recession, even though she said that a recession is coming, but that now it's not really coming. Anyways, I digress. The best case scenario is that everything goes back to normal, that we're allowed to live free lives, and that we are allowed to have a free market where we can work if we want to work, and if we don't want to work, we pay the price for that and live with the consequences. However, from what you see going on around nowadays, do you think that the likelihood of that happening is good or not so good? Well, I'm not a pessimist by nature. By nature, I'm an optimist. But in all times, I'm a realist. And I realize that the world is changing. I realize that there are forces that want to take away our liberties and would like nothing more than for us to be their slaves for eternity. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before things get any better, I've often said that things are going to get a little worse. So that is what we prepare for. And the last thing that I'm going to show you that I got is something that I get on a regular basis. Actually, this is the second to last thing that I got that I'm going to get, that I usually get on a regular basis. And then I'll show you the last thing after this. But I always pick up 4 or 5 of these They used to have a limit of 4, but today I was able to pick up 5. I always pick up 4 or 5 of this every 2 or 3 weeks or so whenever I'm around Sportsman's Warehouse. Why? We use this on a regular basis to heat up our water that we use for our coffee. But also, ladies and gentlemen, this is such an efficient fuel to use with the camp stoves that I just love the way that this works as far as how efficient it is. I love using butane. I wish we could use butane for our regular stove. I wish they had like butane ranges, and then you can get butane tanks like propane. So in my opinion, this is a lot more efficient. And believe it or not, the price on these have not gone up on Sportsman's Warehouse. So as long as they let me get 1 or 2 more than the 4 that they normally say is the limit, I'm going to go ahead and continue to do it. Today I only got 5, but thank goodness that their shelf was about half full, so they had plenty of them. So I didn't feel bad grabbing 5 of these. Consistency, by the time you know it, you'll have enough of these to cook for your family for a whole year if you do the same thing. Now let me show you my last prep, and it's one of the last things that I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I do in order to get ready for this Great Depression. This is something that I do, ladies and gentlemen. You can do it if you want. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I do this on a consistent basis. And this time I did it about a week early just because I was out in town and I don't really feel like making a special trip to do this here in the next 2 or 3 days. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this huge gold coin. This is a Canadian maple leaf. I'm not sure how many of you got it, but this is not a 1 ounce gold coin. This is a 1 gram gold coin. So I stopped at the coin shop. I told you all that I like to dollar cost average, and I saw this little guy and I was like, you know what, let me get that just because I've never seen one that small, and I just think it's pretty cool. So this is actually 1 gram, so it's 1/31st, a little less than 1/31st of an ounce of gold. And I would not recommend that anyone get this. I would never tell you to go out there and get 1 grams of gold because the premium on it is pretty high. I'm comfortable paying the premium on this because I know what this is worth. It's worth a lot more than what I paid for it in fiat currency and what the premium on it was. However, what I really went there for is to get some of these guys. See these guys right here? This is what's called constitutional silver. And let me show you why it's called constitutional silver. You hear that? That's the sound of real money, ladies and gentlemen. The reason it's called constitutional silver is because it was minted in the U.S. This is sovereign money. All right, this is real money, sovereign money. This quarter right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a quarter that was minted in 1963. In 1963, you could buy a gallon of gas with this quarter. Today, if you take this quarter and trade it in at a coin shop, you can use that money and still buy yourselves a gallon of gas. You know, give or take, all right? It's not going to be like exactly a gallon or a little more, but give or take, you're going to get a gallon of gas. And the reason I decided to get some of these today is because the price of silver has gone down so much that I was like, you know what, let me see if they have any constitutional silver or junk silver, the other word that is called, so that I can get a few quarters. And I ended up getting like $5 in quarters, and it was $19 face value. So for every 4 quarters, I ended up paying $19, which is a pretty high premium. However, I know what this is worth. I know what this is worth. This is real money, and this will bring forward my purchasing power into the future. No, I'm not saying that I get this so that I can try and flip it in a week or 2 or a month or even a year. I get this because I know that 10 years from now, this will still be worth, or will still be able to buy me 10 years from now what it can buy me today in nominal terms. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. That's my payday prep. I wanted to share this with you because the warning is this. We are headed into a Great Depression. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully on the other side of that Great Depression, hopefully we will end up with a better system than what we have now. One that is more fair and more just. And this right here, in my opinion, is one of the ingredients that makes a government a good government. The first being good morals, and the second ingredient being able to run or govern with real sound money. Because when you have real sound money, you have to earn that money. How many people in Congress do you think really earn their money? By doing insider trading and by being in the pockets of corporations. When you can print money out of thin air, you can get away with the things that they get away with today. But when you deal with real sound money, you can't. That's why governments hate gold and silver so much. Having said that, I hope that you have a great day today, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you do a little bit of prepping, but more importantly, just like Southern Prepper 1 says, I love it when he says this. Make sure that you go out there and do your job, work. Make sure that you're the best employee that you can be. That way, if they have to let people go, you will be the last one to be let go, right? Number 1, make sure that you take care of your preps. Make sure that you and your family get together, take care of your preps so that you can prepare for the future. Whether or not these things that are being predicted to happen, you should still be prepared. And number 3, make sure that you have some fun. Spend some time with your families. That, in my opinion, is just as important as the first 2, if not a little more. Having said that, have a great day again. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. God bless.